On the way to the courtroom right now.
This is the plaintiff, Dolores Hernandez. She says she gave the defendant a fully refundable deposit for a car she was interested in, but now finds herself in court. She gave him the money and told him she'd let him know definitely in 4 days once she sold a certain stock she had. Well, 4 days later, the bank told her they weren't going to give her the money she was counting on, so she asked the defendant for her refund. He told her he was now going to keep half her hard-earned money, but she isn't going to be taken advantage of like that without a fight. She's suing for $178, the amount she feels she's due. This is the defendant, Richard Parker. He says he wrote the plaintiff a receipt for the $200 deposit she gave him for a sweet '94 Lincoln that was sitting on his lot. She also said she'd be back with the rest of the money when she sold the stock she had. 4 days later, she comes in and says she couldn't get a loan from the bank. Huh? She never said anything about trying to get a loan. In the meantime, he turned away other potential customers, so we thought it fair to split the deposit with her, and he's hoping the judge agrees. He's accused of changing his mind.
All parties, please raise your right hands. And welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket, the plaintiff plunked down money for a deposit on a car, but there was a snag in the deal, and now she wants her money back. The defendant says his Lincoln is just sitting there on his lot, so he's lost some serious dough. It's the case of the stinking Lincoln. Sworn?
Thank you, Douglas. Okay, Ms. Hernandez, you are suing Mr. Parker for $178, $100 of it, the balance of a deposit that you believe should be returned to you, and $78 for your time spent on this lawsuit. Okay, tell me what's going on, Ms. Hernandez.
Well, every day I usually take the bus to work, and I know I need a car. I needed a car at the time, and I passed by the mall, and I saw a nice-looking car sitting on the mall with a for sale sign on it. So then I got off the bus after it turned around and went and took down the number and called to find out the particulars on the car, and Mr. Parker said that the car was going to be sold for $3,500.
What kind of car was it?
A Lincoln Continental.
What year?
1994.
So he gave you a price, and
then I called up a friend of mine who's a car salesperson to find out what the Blue Book price on it was, and they told me it was about $1,000 more than it was in the Blue Book.
Really?
Yeah.
So you fled in an opposite direction.
Well, I was hoping that...
That only made you want it more.
I was hoping that he would come down on the price.
But did he?
She said he'd come down $200.
So then you fled.
Well, my friend he owns a lot of cars. He's in the car business, and...
Is this the same friend who told you it was overpriced, or a different friend?
A different friend.
So you just kept going to friends until someone gave you the opinion you wanted to hear. Okay, so you went to another friend who said buy the car, and you liked it and you wanted to buy it, and it was worth that money to you.
Yes.
At the end.
Yes.
All right, so you agree with him that you're going to buy the car for how much?
For $3,500 less $200.
Okay, so $3,300. All right, and do you give him a deposit?
Yeah, I gave him $200.
$200.
And I did ask him...
And did you get a receipt?
Yes.
May I see the receipt? And you did ask him what?
I asked him, was there... would it be all right for a few days to take... before I could get the money together? Did he need to sell it right away? That's what, I would ask him.
Well, a few days is right away. I don't know what that means. What do you mean? That you didn't have the money in your pocket at that very moment, that it would take you a few days to get it together.
Right, and right. If he needed to sell it, like immediately, like if,
Like he needs the money today instead of in 48 hours?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, anyway, so I called my bank. I did have some stock, but it wouldn't come to the amount of the total price of that car.
Okay.
So then I went to my bank, and the bank told me, I filled out the papers, and they said, I waited for their response, and their response was no.
Okay, so then what?
So then before that, I called him to tell him that I would know in about 4 days, and this, was 4 days, and then I was really upset.
So how many days was it total before you finally called him and said, I'm not buying your car?
4 days.
Okay. And so when you called him back after 4 days and told him I'm not buying your car, you told him I can't get a loan and I just couldn't get the money together.
Yeah.
And what does he say about the $200?
I said, can I get my money? And I was going to come over to to where he worked, and I went over there to pick it up.
And he said, sure. What did he say on the phone? Sure, no problem, come over and get your money?
Yeah.
Or did he say, well, you know, I mean, it isn't...
No, we didn't talk about how much he was going to give me until I got there.
Okay.
And then he said, well, I discussed it with a friend of mine, and they said that we should split it because I missed a sale. And
missed the sale with you, or missed the sale in the meantime holding the car?
And, yeah, and I also saw him driving the car. When I was, I also drive.
He's not allowed to drive the car?
I guess not. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he is, seeing as it's not yours. So go ahead.
All right. Well, anyway, so he said, well, I think I should keep half of it. So
what did you say?
I didn't say anything at the time. I was sort of like in shock. I said, what can I do, So then I said, well, after I thought about it, I called another friend of mine.
Wait, after you thought about it, did you call your other friend while you're sitting in the chair? What do you do in that chair when he says, I think we should split it? I missed a sale, there was another buyer, I held the car for you for 4 days.
He gave me a check for $100.
He did give you a check for $100.
Yeah.
And then you took the check, right?
Yes.
And then you cashed the check, right?
Right.
And then you thought it over, and what did you decide? You'd sue him for the rest of it that you didn't mention while you were sitting in the chair?
Well, we were standing. We weren't sitting.
Yeah. I stand corrected.
Okay.
You decided to sue him for the amount that you didn't mention when you were standing?
Yeah.
Okay, and so here we are, right? All right. Well, Mr. Parker, what's going on?
She indicated that she wanted the car. She liked the car. It was a really nice car. And we did go take it to be inspected by her friend who is very familiar with Lincolns. I believe he has a limousine service. And he gave it the thumbs up. And so we agreed on the price.
And then she gives you $200.
Dollars, right? The whole thing. But she...
And did you write out this receipt for her?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
We were out in the parking lot, and it was... I think she had to go, and I had to get back to work, so we just took a piece of paper.
Are you trying to explain why the words non-refundable are not there? It would have been better.
It would have been better, but
in retrospect.
I've sold many cars over the years, and anybody's given me a deposit is always the next day or that day.
Have you ever written non-refundable on your?
Never.
Never? You should. In retrospect,
I should.
It would be a very good idea.
I learned a lesson.
Right. Okay. But in any event, it wasn't written. Your feeling is it's implicit. Okay. She comes over to your. She decides she's not going to buy it. You do hold it for how many days? 4 days.
It was 4 days. She called me on a Monday afternoon, before she was to make settlement on a Tuesday morning.
Okay.
And she called me
to say,
at my office. I'm not buying the car. I can't get a loan. She told me that she had funds based on selling some stock, I think a combination of some savings, and maybe borrowing some money. And she assured me that there wouldn't be a problem.
Well, and it turned out it was. Did you lose? What's this about you having lost a buyer during those 4 days?
There were several other calls. One man said he was looking at another Lincoln. He saw mine, really liked it. I told him that I had a deposit on it. It looks like this sale is going to go through, but feel free to call me Tuesday to check back if for some reason it doesn't.
And
I didn't take the name and number or anything.
And he didn't call you?
No, he probably bought the other car, assuming that
Right. Well, that's another
done.
thing you hopefully learned from this too, right? To
Yes.
get the name and number. All right, so she comes over and she wants her money back, and then tell me how that conversation goes.
She came over to the mall, and we met. And I explained my position. I said, listen, I missed a buyer. You assured me you had the money, that it was pretty much a done deal. And I said, now I'm going to have to probably go place an ad. And I lost a buyer. And I just said, in all fairness, I think I just deserve to keep part of this deposit for my...
Can I ask you a question, Ms. Hernandez? What sounds so unreasonable about what this man just said? That you would pay $72 to file a case for $100? Because I can't help but notice that your court costs were $72 to file a $100 claim against a man who sat there and said, you know what, I'm not going to keep your whole $200, which incidentally, I would say 99% of people in his position would have kept the whole $200, but okay. He sits there, he splits a baby with you. You say nothing during the discussion. You don't say, no, I'm not going to accept the $100. I want the $200. You say nothing. You go, you cash his check, okay? And then you turn around and say, what's fair about your position and unfair about his?
She drives a hard bargain. Will she get the deposit back for the Lincoln? Judge Milian. Should she?
With you in mind.
So, does she get her deposit back?
No,
Why?
because she backed out of a deal.
She just backed out. But should she get the full deposit back? Because he gets to resell the car, right?
He's going to go and resell the car, so if he's going to resell the car again, she should get the deposit back.
Because it's like getting twice the profits.
Exactly.
Okay, we'll find out going inside the courtroom.
Well, because I'm tired of people screwing over me, that's why. And I gave him my money, and I did want the car very badly, but I couldn't.
So how did he?
And I don't make a lot of money.
How did he screw you over? How did he do that?
Because he kept my money.
What do you mean he kept your money? What do you think your money is meant to do? It's not like we're talking about he kept $2,000 of your dollars, which would be, hey, come on, you're not going to keep $2,000 of your dollars. You didn't buy the car. Have you sold it, by the way?
2 weeks later, I sold it, and by the way, I did not take a deposit. The man said he'd be there the next morning with the money.
Okay, but in any event, you know, he's got a car for sale. He wants the money sooner rather than later. Everybody does. You want your money sooner rather than later. You give him money. What do you think the money's intended for? It's giving you a right to hold the car, and then he doesn't sell it to other people. And then instead of being, by the way, I would have let you keep the whole $200. Okay, instead of standing there and saying it's my $200, it's a deposit. You lost it. You didn't do it. You didn't come through. This is your problem. You shouldn't have given. You know, I turned away some buyer. He's such a nice guy. He's so not nailing you, okay, that he actually says, let's just split it, we'll both take a loss, and you actually pay $72 to come to court and sue him for $100? Ms. Hernandez, you've got way too much time on your hands. My verdict in this case is for the defendant.
So stepping into the hallway as a loser in this case, how do you feel?
Well,
about it?
Horrible, but, you know, I guess I didn't state my case soon enough and tell him that I wanted all my deposit back. But, you know,
all right.
Say the rich man wins always.
Okay. Documents waiting down the corner there. All right, so come on in here. What do you think of the case now?
I think the judge was very fair. And I did learn a lesson, as was mentioned in the courtroom, that you may want to put a little contingency clause in your sale of a used car, basically stating that your refund there will not be a refund if you just because of not getting your financing.
Strange case. Strange case.
It was.
Why do you think it came to the? Why couldn't you get it together with her? Why couldn't you deal with her without courts?
She did write me a letter, and to be honest with you, I knew what it cost to file in court, and to get $100 back, I just never expected, for her to do that.
Harvey?
The bottom line in this case, the defendant got to keep the money because he truly was damaged.